Assalamu alaikum students, your instructor Abdul Rafi here for accounting and mathematics. Today we are going to solve the IGCSE O levels accounting past paper. Our discussion will be on the cash book. So let's get started. Try to understand what are the concepts involved in a cash book, what is the format for cash book, and how do you solve a cash book question of 20 marks and its relevant parts as well. For the recent paper, we have October-November 2024, paper 2, variant 2. Let's get started with question number 1, which is on the books of prime entry. From the syllabus perspective, students, it's always section number 1 and section number 2. So what we have, sir, is basically Kalima, who is a trader. So the name of the person is available. We have Kalima, who is a trader. At the start of September 2024, so start of September 2024, we have a cash balance of $240, a bank balance of $890 credit. So a bank balance which is $890 credit, and a credit customer Alize who owed Kalima $520. So we have a customer which is also called a trade receivable as well. So the customer owed Kalima $520. As always, assume yourselves that you are Kalima and start solving the question considering it's your business which have a cash balance. So cash in hand, cash in the pocket is $240, sorry, and the bank balance is basically $890, which is credit, which also means it's a liability, it's a bank overdraft. The payments are more as compared to the receipts. Money coming in the business was less than the money going out of the business. So money went out, the payments were more, the payments were greater side as compared to the receiving side. Let's have a look at the cash book format. So we have definitely the debit side, which is basically, students, the receive sides. Money coming in the business will be recorded on the debit side, sir, and money going out of the business will be recorded on the credit side, which is basically the payments. So before we get started, we have a lot of transactions here. The following transactions took place during the month of September. So we have September 2nd, September 3rd, all of these adjustments going on till September number 29th, sir. What we have to do, we'll do all of these adjustments, we'll do one by one of them. What we need to understand is we have to prepare Kalima's cash book for September 2024, balance the account and bring down the balances on 1st October 2024, which is worth 13 marks. So out of the total 20 marks, 13 marks are basically, sir, for the cash book, that we have to get all those 13 marks for the cash book out of the total 20 marks. So let's get started with the format of the cash book. As always, we'll have to start with the opening balances. So we have a positive cash balance of $240. So it should be, sir, balance brought down on September number 1st, which is 240. So you write down 2024 and September number 1st. Okay. So September 1st, 2024, we have balance brought down as $240 here. And also we have balance brought down on the other side as well on September number 1, which is an overdraft balance of $890. Okay, so $890 is an opening balance, bank overdraft for the credit side, these are the credit side, and this is basically the debit side and the debit side for the learning perspective. Let's start solving the transactions. Okay, so what we have is basically, make sure everyone have a calculator and they're following properly and clearly. So the first transaction is very simple. On September number 2, sir, we paid stationery in cash $82. So what we have is basically September 2nd, and you can tell the examiner we paid stationery payment. So because it's a payment goes on the credit side, stationery cash, which is basically $82. Students should understand that it is important to put it in the correct box, okay, to put it in the correct section, correct column for the cash and bank account, okay. I repeat, this is October November 2024, paper 2, variant 2, one of the recent papers. It talks about the books of prime entry, which is section number 1 and 2 of the syllabus. Then we have September number 3, which is basically cash sales. Okay, on September number 3, Kalima have made the cash sales of $478. So we basically go here, September number 3, we made the sales. We made them in cash, sir, which is basically $478 money coming in the business, cash sales of $478. On the same day, something else is also happening. So what we need to understand, that there was a check for $30, a check for $30 received at the end of the August. So previous month, the examiner is talking about, sir, the previous month, a check for $30 at the end of the August from Badr, a credit customer, was dishonored. So there was a dishonored check. Those who don't know about dishonored check, is basically when there are insufficient funds in the Badr's account. So Badr's bank account didn't have insufficient funds, or the check was dishonored due to sign issue, date issue. There's a complete other lecture on dishonored check. Just understand that dishonored check means here, from the perspective of cashbook, that the money came back, so we have to remove it. So it will be the bank account will be credited and Badr will again be debited. So Badr account will again be debited, Badr's account will again be debited, but the bank account will be credited again, that we haven't received any money from Badr because the check was dishonored, it was not processed, it was not cleared. So we need to understand, students, the check didn't go through, the money came back and our bank becomes credited and Badr will be debited, because Badr, again, it's a trade receivable and asset, so that will be debited. So the money didn't went through. Okay, so that is basically the September number 3 transaction that we need to record in terms of Badr. What students need to understand, in the cash book, all the transactions will be going through which are related to the cash and bank transactions. So money going out of the business and money coming in the business will always be recorded in the cash book. Why? Because it's a book of prime entry, and there are other books of prime entry as well that we'll talk about here, that why this transaction is not recorded in the cash book. Next transaction, we move on to September number 5th, is basically we paid wages by credit transfer. So in this case, credit transfer means the bank, we made the payment from bank. So we have wages by credit transfer 1390. Okay, so it will be wages by credit transfer. We made the payment on September number 5 for wages, which is 1390, sir, done by credit transfer. Okay, that's a very simple 1 mark for each transaction. Now comes the most important one. On September number 7, sir, on September number 7, Kalima is buying the goods from Gulnar on credit from the supplier or from a trade payables. So the person Kalima, if she is buying the goods on credit from any supplier, any from Gulnar, so what we need to understand, students, that this transaction is not coming in the cash book. You have to ignore this transaction because it will be going in the purchase journal. It's a purchase journal, books of prime entry. The book of prime entry that will record September number 7 transaction, students, will be purchase journal, because when we buy the goods on credit, it will never come in the cash book, it will always go in the purchases journal. So up till now we have done the first 4 transactions, in which one of them is not going to be recorded in the cash book. So students have to be very careful and smart about it in the exam, as examiner tries to test students their concepts and knowledge as well. So make sure September number 7th transactions don't go in the cash book. Next is a very important transaction, in which September number 10th, Kalima is withdrawing $150 from the business bank account for personal use. So she is taking out some money from the business bank account for personal use. As always, personal use means that it is drawings. The Kalima is doing some drawings. So September number 10th, we go back and tell that some money is taken out from the business bank account for the personal use. So that is drawings, and the drawings amount was $150. Okay, So the drawings amounted to 150 taken out from the bank account on the credit side. Then on September number 14th, Kalima is receiving a check. Receiving a check means that some money is going to come in the business from Alize in full settlement of the amount that she owed us, less 2.5% discount. So September number 14th transaction will require a calculator as well. We are receiving, we means students here, Kalima is receiving the payments from Alize because Kalima sold the goods on credit to Alize. The amount was $520 at the start of the month. So always remember, the whole question is interlinked. Transactions from the starting will be linked with the transactions at the bottom as well. We are receiving a check from Alize in full settlement. We have to subtract the 2.5% discount, which means Kalima offered 2.5% discount as well, okay, to Alize. So we write down the name of Alize here, that we offered some discount to Alize on September number 14, 2.5%. The total amount was $520. So $520 into 2.5%. So students need to understand $13 was the discount allowed that Kalima did. Kalima said if you are making the payment early, get a prompt early payment discount. So we received from Alize $507, or Kalima received the payment of $507 from the Alize. Once we are done with September number 14th transaction, because we received the payment, it will be coming on the debit side, okay. Next we have, sir, is basically September number 16th, which is paid $120 cash into the business bank account. It's a very important transaction to understand. It's called a business use transaction or a contra transaction, that we take out money from the cash and paid into the business bank account. We take out money from the cash and paid into the business bank account. So how are we going to record this transaction, which is basically taking out the money from the cash account? We are taking out money from the cash account and paying into the bank account. It will be that first you will be basically withdrawing the money from the cash account, which is the amount of $120. So $120 will be deducted from here, students, from the cash account. We write down that it is for the bank perspective. We are going to put it in the bank. On September number 16th, this is happening. September number 16th, when you take out the money from the cash account, so you are going to put it in the bank account. So here you put the cash name and tell the examiner that 120 money is coming in the business, in the bank account. Money have been taken out from the cash in hand, cash in the pocket, money in the pocket, from the pocket, and put it in the business bank account, $120, which is cash. That is how the September number 16th transaction will be recorded. Any questions and concerns can be asked, students. When we move forward, we have September number 21st transaction, that we paid Gulnar. Now we paid the one we bought the goods from. So the Kalima bought goods from Gulnar. Kalima bought goods from Gulnar, students, and now we are making the payment to her by a cash discount. Because we are making a payment early, it's going to be recorded as we have received some discount. Kalima have received a 2% discount. The amount of the goods matter here, that it was $200. So we go there, write down the name of Gulnar on September 21st. So September 21st, name of Gulnar will come here. 200 into 2%, as everyone know, will be a $4. So we got 200 into 2% cash discount, $4, and remaining payment we made, sir, which was $196. Okay, so that is September number 21st transaction also recorded. Next, September number 23rd and 23rd transaction is we sold the goods. Kalima is selling the goods to Alize on credit, $1,450. So again, students need to understand the concepts matters a lot. This transaction, sir, is going to sales journal. It is not going to be recorded in the cash book because there is no monetary transaction happening. We haven't received any payment or we haven't made any payment, so that's why it's not going to be recorded in the cash book. It's a sales journal transaction, it will be recorded in the sales journal. Similarly, on September number 29th, a credit note totaling $325 was issued to Alize for goods returned. This also means that Alize, the customer, is returning some goods to us. So when the customer returns the goods to Kalima, when the customer Alize will return the goods to Kalima, it will be a sales return journal, sorry. This transaction will be recorded, students, in the sales return journal, which is another book of prime entry. Sales return journal records the customers returning the goods. So September number 23rd and September number 29th transaction are just given to confuse the students, so they make a mistake, they try to record it in the cash book and they will lose the marks. Okay, so just make sure the totaling will be wrong. Be very careful, be smart about it in the exam. Only record the cash and banking transaction. Once students have recorded all the transactions in the cash book, make sure lot of marks will be for the totaling and the dates as well. At the IGCSE 0452 and the O levels accounting 77007, this question must have come. This question have come in both the exam papers, whether IGCSE or the O levels exam paper of October November 2024. Dates will have 1 marks, dates will also have a marks at this level, and the totaling should also be having 1 mark as well. Okay, not 1 mark or more than 1 mark, and the balances carried down and the balances brought down for the next month. We have to do this as well, students, which is basically balance the account and bring down the balances on 1st October 2024. So the next month, new month balances. So how do students go about it? I always tell them just give some space. So let's say this one is where I'm trying to make all of them equals, and this will be where I'm going to make all of them. Make sure both of them are in the same order. Let's try to complete the discounts column. So everyone knows that discounts column will be simple. $4 total for the discount received and $13 for the total for the discount allowed. Okay, that is clear. Let's talk about the cash account. So cash should always be a positive balance. So you can just quickly say to the examiner that on September number 30th, the balance carried down. So if we add, please understand how do you do the balancing for the cash account. So it's basically definitely 240 plus 478. If students can see the highlighter, 240 plus 478, that makes it, sir, $718. And I'm pretty sure 718 minus subtract these, the money coming in the business for Kalima was 718, subtract 82 and $120 out of it. So 718 minus 82 minus 120. So the balance carried down is basically $516, sir. That $516 is the balance carried down. The next month opening balance for cash in hand, the cash account of the business, will be $516. Make sure write down here properly 516 balance brought down. That will give you the 1 mark. Balance, always remember students, balance carried down doesn't have a mark. Okay, balance carried down doesn't have a mark. It's at the balance brought down you get the mark. For October 1st 2024, on 1st October 2024, balance brought down will give the students complete marks. Okay, so just add total all of them. 718 is the total here, 718 on both sides. I believe the bank, if you look at it from if now coming to the bank sections, okay, bank columns, okay, coming to the bank column, so this one looks less, the debit side looks less, and the credit side is still better, still looks the higher side, the higher of the two. So it's better, be careful about it and do in this approach that let's add the credit side. So it will be, sir, all of them 890 plus 30 plus 1 3390. Okay, if everyone can see the highlighter, so let's do it together with the calculator. 890 plus 30, sir, plus 1390 plus 150 plus 196. So I got this as 2656, sir. So 2656, and 2656 here. This will be balance carried down here, that it will be the balance carried down for the bank account will be coming in here, sir, on September number 30th, which will be 2656 minus these two transactions, sir, which is 507 and 120, the receipts that we have done in the bank account. So we have still an overdraft, a liability, sir, of $2,029 if it is not wrong. So again you write down 2029, that will be balance brought down on October 1st, the next month, which is a liability for the bank balance as it's an overdraft. 2029 comes in. So that's how the balancing will be done. Okay, students, hope everyone is getting the lecture, and any questions can be asked in the comment section. Please feel free to ask any problems and questions. How does the marking system works for the cash book is basically each transaction you will get a 1 mark. Okay, so each transaction, students, you will be awarded 1 mark. So it means 1 mark for this, 1 mark for this, and 1 mark for this. Same goes for here: stationery, Badar, wages, drawings, banks, Gulnar. So this is like 6 transactions. So 6 transactions will give you 6 marks here as well. So almost out of the 13 marks, as you know, the question is worth 13 marks, a short part A out of the 20 marks is worth 13 marks. So what we need to understand, 9 marks are for all the adjustments, and remaining 4 marks are inclusive of dates, the balances brought down, then the 1st October balances. Okay, the 1st October balances 2 marks most probably. Totaling also gets you 1 mark. The correct totaling will also gets you 1 mark. Okay, that's how the whole 13 marks will be achieved. Once we move forward, once the cash book is done, what you have is other remaining 7 marks to be achieved. So it is very simple. Let's try to understand these question parts as well. I repeat, this is October November 2024 paper 2 variant 2 as well. What does the credit balance in the bank on 1st September 2024 will represent? So it's a very simple, very straightforward question. Okay, what does the credit balance on the bank account on 1st September? So this was 1st September, at the start of September 2024. We have a bank balance of $890 credit. So you just have to tell the examiner that it's a bank overdraft or it's a liability. So it's basically called a bank overdraft. Either students can write this as well to get the full 1 mark, or it is a liability, it is a current liability. You can mention like these things as well to get the full 1 mark. Okay, so it's a current liability, it's a bank overdraft. Okay, the next what we have is a 5 marks question. We'll talk about that as well. Prepare the account of Alize as it would appear in the Kalima's book. Okay, so how the account of Alize will be appearing in the Kalima's book. So we have to make a ledger as well, and then we have to balance the account as well, students, and then bring down any balances on 1st October 2024. So balancing the T account is also required. So what we need to understand is basically you always have to assume yourself as Kalima, and we are making a T account of Alize. So the first thing important is, how do you make a T account which is worth 5 marks? It's the opening balance, whether Aliza is a customer or trade payables or supplier, debtor or a creditor. That will be basically telling the question, because all the information with respective to Aliza will have to be accommodated. We will have to consider. So students need to understand that Kalima, for Kalima, Alize is a credit customer who owed us $520 at the start of the month. So we come back to the question and tell the examiner that since Alize is a customer for us, so it's a customer which is basically sir trade receivable. It is called sir trade receivable, which is basically a debtor as well, a debtor which is a current asset. It's an asset. Okay, so customer is always basically an asset, so it will always be sir balance brought down. That's how you judge the T account. So balance brought down of $520 will be coming in here on 2024. Is it already written? September number 1st. So September number 1st, on September 1st, Alize have to pay Kalima $520. We as Kalima have to receive the money from Alize. Then as we can see, couple of transactions happened. That what happened? We received a check. Let's mark those transactions. So September number 14th transaction was related to Alize. Okay, September number 14th. Then September number 23rd transaction and September number 29th transaction. So these all three transactions, students, will be going in the Alize's T account that we received the check. Since we received the check from Alize, our bank account was debited, right? Our bank account was debited and discount allowed was also debited. So Alize's account, to complete the journal entry, sir, Alize's account will be credited by bank and discount allowed. Okay, so bank amount and discount allowed account. So students need to understand how these things work, that the bank account was debited and the discount allowed, because it's an expense, they were debited on date you have to put, which is September number 14th, sir. On September 14th, the Alize made the payment, so we received it. So $507 was paid from the bank account, and $13 was the discount allowed that we provided Kalima, that we allowed it, because discount allowed is an expense. The next transaction is basically on September number 23rd. We again sold her the goods. We sold goods to Alize on credit, $1,450. Very simple basic journal entry. Your journal entries should be strong. The sales, which is basically credit, sales are always sales, and revenue is the same thing, always credited. So sale revenue must have been credited and Alize account will be debited. That, sir, now we have done the sales. Again the sales have been done to her for $1,450 on September number 23rd. Okay, out of those sales on September 23rd, Kalima made some sales to Alize of $1,450, on which on September number 29 she returned some goods. So it was sales returns. She returned some goods from the $1,450 which were worth $325. As everyone can see, it was some goods. A credit note totaling $325 was issued to Alize for goods return. Goods can be returned due to any reason. The customer, Alize, was not satisfied with the quality. It was the wrong order, wrong size came. Some items were damaged. $325 of goods were damaged. So it can be any reason. So we got sales return as well. Definitely sales return is always debited in their account. So in Aliza's account it will be credited. Students should be very familiar that this is the credit side and this is the debit side, sir. Okay, once we are done with this, we have to take out the balance carried down. So I believe that it should be the debit side is always higher, so it will be, sir, the balance carried down on September number 30th will be coming. Balance carried down on September number 30th. So we add the totals. The total will be coming in here. And because I missed one line, so make sure that try to fit in the T account in there. So balance brought down, I'm writing it down here, but students should be doing it, trying to fit in the whatever space is available. So let's do the calculation. 520 plus 1,450, sir, that is 1,970. Both sides total 1,970, and then out of 1,970, sir, we subtract 507, 13 and $325. So still the balance that Aliza will owe Kalima is $1,125. We still need to receive, we means Kalima still needs to receive $1,125 from her, from Alize, in the next month, which is on October number 1st of 2024. Make sure try to do this above with this because of the space that I didn't do it here. That's why the issue came, but hope everyone got it. That's how we will be getting all 5 marks, students, of the Alize's account. Okay, everything have every transaction have a mark. So we have 1 mark for the sales, 1 mark for sales return, 1 mark for bank, and 1 mark for discount allowed, and the one final mark is for the bringing down the balance and getting the next opening balance. That's how the 5 marks will be given. Students are always confused with is it a receivable account, customer account, supplier account, trade payables. Be very careful about it. Think from the perspective of Kalima that this Aliza is a customer to her, and she will be making payments and we will be receiving in the next month as well $1125. With this we finish off the question with 1 mark left, total to 20 marks. We have to just name the section. Follow very carefully, students. It's a very one-liner answer or to 1 or 2 words answer. Name the section in which Kalima's statement of financial position where the balance on the Alize's account would appear. So the examiner is asking you that where this balance would be appearing, where this balance of 1125 will be appearing in the statement of financial position of Kalima. So the answer is very simple. It is basically an asset. It will be appearing in the current assets. In this will be the section, and the subheading will be trade receivables. Okay, current assets, and then you go at current assets and then trade receivables. Okay, even if you write current assets, you still get the complete 1 mark. Okay, with this, students, that's how 20 marks is achieved. Please understand that this is cash book. The book of prime entry is a very important topic and one of the favorite topics of the examiner since 2020. So students should focus and practice a lot of questions on the cash book and books of prime entry, because the first question of the paper is always from section number 1 and 2 of the syllabus, which is about business documents, books of prime entry, how to make the ledger T accounts. So make sure everyone got it. Have a great day. Thank you. Take care. Allah Hafiz.